It's the third week of October, and that means we have two horrorcore albums left to review. And last week we reviewed Doomsday Productions' classic album, The Plague. This week we'll be discussing the West Coast horrorcore classic, Season of the Siccness by Sacramento legend, Brotha Lynch. Released on February 28, 1995 through Black Market Records, this album is considered an instant classic of the horrorcore genre. Along with fellow artists Isham, Doomsday Productions, Bone Thugs-n-Harmony, and Tech Nine, Brotha Lynch is considered one of the godfathers of this style of rap, setting the groundwork as well as raising the bar for what the genre could be with a well-crafted and well-thought-out approach to songwriting and production. I bought this album back at Independent Records back in the summer of 2007. I even managed to track down an original pressing of the vinyl on eBay for $500. Just like Doomsday's The Plague, Season of the Siccness evokes much of the same feeling. This was Brotha Lynch when he was first developing his artist persona and crafted the style truly unique to himself. It's one of my top 10 rap albums and has been for 16 years plus, so join me as we dive into our review of Brotha Lynch's masterpiece, Season of the Siccness. This album consists of 18 tracks. Track number 1, Kush Break.
Off, you know what I'm saying? Go get you a motherfucking split. For those of you that
This is just a quick skit, clocking in at barely 18 seconds. Normally I would just skip these, but this one is inoffensively short and actually serves a purpose by setting the tone for the entire album. Track number 2, Sick Made.
And when I packed me a gun, and when I was young, I dreamt of feeding them niggas up, nigga nuts who play a la ton.
This is the perfect song to start this album. When I was 15, one of my best friends gave me his old MP3 player, and it had a few songs from this album on it. This was one of the first ones I ever heard. Not the first one, but it was one of the first. If Doomsday Productions were the murderous trio out of Vegas, then Brotha Lynch is the hip-hop Hannibal Lecter. No joke. If you're squeamish, beware. At times the lyrics can get downright grotesque with very vivid descriptions. So if you don't think you can handle the imagery your mind may possibly conjure, then just stop here. Should you choose to still explore this content, remember, I warned you. This song is a perfect introduction to what you're going to get for the remainder of the runtime. I give it a full 10 out of 10. The next track is called Dead Man.
Me a 9mm, 44, AR-15, 30-06 with a scope, nigga, a Ithaca 37-12.
This one's another skit, clocking in at just under a minute. Again, just like the first skit, this pushes the momentum of the album forward as far as the tone is concerned. I'll say this, for all future skits for this album, they aren't necessary to listen to. If you want to skip them and get straight to the songs, you're not going to lose anything fundamental. Everything will still flow together perfectly from song to song. But if you're looking for the full experience, then you would benefit from including them in your listening session, as it helps everything to unfold more like an auditory horror movie. But you make that choice for yourself. So going forward, keep that in mind. The next song is called Rest in Piss.
I was a dead man, walking they say, so every night I hit the J, load the AK and post up in.
This song changed a lot of shit for me. The dark piano beat is so fucking sick. When I first heard Lynch flow to this, it immediately caught my attention. Before I knew it, I had the entire song memorized in absolutely no time. Even now when I hear those first few piano notes, I always catch myself starting to mouth the words. When I heard him start off the song with, I was a dead man, walking they say, so every night I hit the J, load a AK and post up in the window till come day. Anyway, hey, I feel the pay, back simmering in my brain, the thoughts of death cloud my mind as my niggas is gone away. I was like, alright, this flow is different. I really like this. I am intrigued. And then later, he says, it's EBK every day, all day to the day I die. I'm creeping through your set with a Benny Mac 10 AR-15. Ruger with a road cage pumped in the trunk with a black beanie disguised. The nigga that you can't see just cause of them blocks Delosos on my eyes. I was like, okay, we're dealing with a whole different kind of fucking animal here. Now, I had just found Tech 9 a few months prior to this, so hearing Lynch rap like this just blew my mind at the time. And just like with Tech, I had never heard anything like this in hip-hop or in music up to that point. Yes, this entire album clearly has West Coast influences and gangsta rap hallmarks dripping off of it sonically, but the lyrical content coupled with Lynch's unique cadence, flow, and delivery was something so far to the left that it was in its own lane entirely. He ends the song with, "Pop, got a hot for the 24th Street block nigga that took a shot, rest in piss." What else can I say? I give it a 10 out of 10. The next track is called Get the Baby. This is a 36-second skit that directly sets up the next song. The next song is called Return of the Baby Killer.
You better pray when you see me put that 9 up in that pussy hoe. Cock it back slow.
This fucking song. I could not believe what I was hearing the first time I heard this shit. Hell, sometimes I still can't believe it when I listen to it today. This shit is 1000% lyrical Lecter unleashed. I am not fucking around. This song is graphic as fuck, but it's really, really good. Like I said before, an auditory horror movie in the form of music. And once you hear that hook, you'll never forget it. I give this one another 10 out of 10. The next song is called Loke to the Brain.
Coming off that high, it's a double zap wrapped around some funk in the trunk. I got the Mossberg pumping.
First of all, there's a whole gang of motherfuckers featured on this song, and each and every last one of them completely slays their verses. Every artist that was a part of Lynch's Made Sick music label at that time is featured on this, from Lynch's then wife, Zigzag, to his proteges, Baby Reg and Mr. Doc. Mr. Doc and Lynch have the standout verses here, especially Lynch, when he just swoops in the last verse like, "You can't see me for the fact of the inside of my straps in your side. About to put some slugs in your throat and put your guts in my coat and hit the night. Drop a sack of endo in my pipe, man, it's EBK every day all day to the day I hit my grave site." I would rewind his whole verse over and over and over. It was ridiculous. It was like he turned into a lyrical Batman right there. I give this one another 10 out of 10. The next track is called Cue Ball.
If I dunk, you know I ain't gonna be fucking with no jail, you know? So I'm just bound to take my life after that and shit, you
This
know?
is a 1-minute skit where Lynch visits the grave of his cousin Cue Ball, promising retaliation for his death, which directly sets up the next song, Liquor Sick.
Look up in the sky, it's a motherfucking slug. Some nigga done let one off and only.
This is my motherfucking shit. This goddamn song is so ill. Last week I said that Doomsday Productions' album The Plague was the type of music you'd ride to. Well, this album and this song in particular fully belong in that same camp. I mean, this album was the predecessor to that one, so it's not really a surprise. When the song starts with those whiny gothic G-funk synths, you just feel the need for revenge. You could have no vendetta with any particular person at that moment in time, and you would still crave revenge. Lynch wages war on those who killed his cousin Cue Ball as he declares, "Look up in the sky, it's a motherfucking slug. Some nigga done let one off and only my cousin shedding blood. That locust motherfucker from 29th Street throwing up his flag. Some nigga got mad and went to the crib for the 44 mag, returned to the setup and let my cousin have it." I was like, yeah, you better fucking retaliate. I could just feel the anger and the urge to seek justice. When I was 15 and I had to do community service at the local Salvation Army all summer as part of my probation, I played this song on motherfucking repeat while having to do all the grunt work for those fucks at the Salvation Army. This song speaks for itself. I give it a full 10 out of 10. The next track is called 40 Break. It's just a skit that doesn't really set up the next song, so you can skip it if you'd like. The next song is called That's Real Gangsta.
Now that's real gangsta shit. Tag teaming on a bitch in the Hotel 6. 40 on the back.
Another dope ass song. The best way I can describe this one is it's like a horror version of Warren G and Nate Dogg's classic track Regulators. A bit darker. Well, a lot darker. But it has a similar vibe nonetheless. I give it an 8 out of 10. The next song is called Deep Down.
Yeah, I can load a 9 up every day, but why? My looks told me, homie, make them tapes and keep that 24 block.
This is another one of my personal favorites. I used to walk around the mall listening to this on my iPod Nano. Ah, the good old days. This song is another one to ride to. It kind of has the same feel as Snoop Dogg's Murder Was the Case that they gave me, but a bit different. Both Lynch and Doc lament how they've struggled to survive the streets of Sacramento, both of them being members of the Garden Block Crips, with Doc stating he didn't expect to live past 21, as all his closest childhood friends were dead long before then, and Lynch talks about how he made a conscious decision to try and avoid the turmoil of gang life by making music instead, while still repping his set, even with others pushing him to the edge of his resolve. The production on this is perfect, and the both of them killed this shit equally. This song is what made me really start to pay attention to Mr. Doc as an artist, and got me into his discography. It's definitely in my top 3 from this album. It ends with a vocal passage from Mr. Doc, and when I think back on it now, I used to have a friend named Malcolm who came out here to Colorado from New Orleans not long after Hurricane Katrina, and they sound remarkably similar. But I digress. I give this one another 10 out of 10. The next song is called Dead Man Walking.
Bust a nigga in that casket, hot boxing, how many motherfuckers?
Another strong track here. Lynch kills it. Production is on point with a smooth, dark G-Funk beat. I could absolutely hear Doggy Style era Snoop on this. I give this one another 10 out of 10. The next track is called 781 Red Rum. This is another skit, and it doesn't necessarily set up the next song, so it can be skipped if you'd like. We're down to the final few tracks of the album. The next song is called Season of the Siccness.
Locking off to the 21st block. I'm rolling in a drop top. Fever zero, that black criminal.
This is another one we used to bump at parties and while cruising around the streets late at night. Lynch's brother Six is featured on this song with a verse. He was also a rapper during this early period, but he soon became the subject of much controversy due to some disturbing discoveries that would come to light and lead him to spending the rest of his life in prison with no chance of being released. But that's an entirely different story for another day. Nevertheless, this song is really, really good, and I give it a 10 out of 10. The next song is called Welcome to Your Own Death.
And as I bail through the woods of the south side, Terror Zone 9.
This was another one we used to play a lot at parties, and the hook is fucking infectious. The beat is sluggish and dark as fuck and has a feature from rapper Hist, who was also featured on Load to Brain earlier on in the album. I give this one another 9 out of 10. The next song is called Real Lokes.
You know what I'm saying? Much love. To my block niggas, you know.
This one actually pissed me off quite a bit. The beat starts off really dope, leading you to believe you're about to be in for another killer track. But what it amounts to is nothing more than 4 minutes of Brotha Lynch just shouting out his crew. Deception. Come on now, Lynch. We have one song left before the end of the fucking album, and you pull some shit like this right towards the very end? Deceiving us with a sick beat that leads to nearly 5 minutes of nothing important being said is not cool at all. Not cool. I give this one a 1 out of 10. And the final track of the album is called Inhale with the Devil. And of course, one disappointment gives birth to another, as we're served with another 2.5 minute skit. Look, I'm not going to be too hard on this particular track, since it does offer closure to the narrative that was weaved throughout the album. But come on, after the last track, this is how we end? I feel that the previous song should have been a crew cut instead of Lynch turning it into a shout-out session. The beat was dope, it would have worked perfectly, and it would have given all the artists on the label a final moment to shine, but it is what it is. Personally, I think it would have made more sense to make Real Lokes a crew cut, place it before Welcome to Your Own Death, and then put Inhale with the Devil after that. See how much more sense that makes sequentially? As it is, it's a lackluster ending to a monumentally strong album. But if you were to completely disregard Real Lokes as a song, this would be a perfect ending. So let's just think of it that way. I give this one a 5 out of 10. I'd like to take a moment to list the producers and featured artists for this album. So from what I could gather, all production was done by Brotha Lynch himself, as I can't seem to find anything in my research to list any individual producers for any of the tracks. The only other people who are listed are Sed Singleton as executive producer and Robert Foster as associate producer. So I'll just list the artists featured on the album. Track number 6, Return of the Baby Killer, featuring Six. Track number 7, Loke to the Brain, featuring Zigzag, Zoe, Hist, and Mr. Doctor. Also, I made a mistake earlier on when I said that Baby Reg was featured on this song. He is not. Track number 12, Deep Down, featuring Mr. Doctor. Track number 15, Season of the Siccness, featuring Six. And track number 16, Welcome to Your Own Death, featuring Six. Overall, this is a really strong album. It's a perfect mix of West Coast gangster rap fused with horrorcore, and is a monumental album not only for hip-hop, but for music in general. I give it a full 10 out of 10. I'd like to take this time to thank my editor for all his hard work. I wouldn't be able to do these without you, so thank you. And to thank you all for your time. I sincerely appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed this review. You know I had to save the best for last, so join me next week as we review our final album for Horrorcore Halloween month, Tech Nine's magnum opus, KOD. Until then, be safe everyone, and take care.